We'll see how this one works out. Tied up here at 1-1. Game number 3, picks and bans right here. Luminosity will have the first selection, and you were talking about the difference between first and second pick here and how you almost have to ban King Arthur in the secondary slot.
I think you do have to ban King Arthur in secondary slot because it's again, it's not necessarily that Arthur is going to be doing 60k damage every single game, but there is no other god in Smite right now that can afford to tank up 4 people at the same time while also simultaneously getting double kills.
We'll see how it works out. We have seen some teams kind of give up the Arthur and win against it. So we'll see if Dignitas are going to stick to their guns. Right now they're banning out the Zeus, and again, I think that's the right call. I think that Oceans has just been too punishing with the Zeus juice in his hands. So Luminosity now on the clock. Achilles their first ban, and again, I agree with that one. Very strong choice as of late.
Luminosity, though, could put themselves into a position to get that first pick Xaliea, so I think the pressure is really onto Dignitas now to decide, do we opt to let the Arthur go through for Xaliea? Because keep in mind, EU United permitted the King Arthur against Luminosity yesterday. So I think that this is more dependent on whether or not Variety feels comfortable playing against Xaliea on that pick. But from a personal perspective, I don't think Xaliea looked too hot on the Arthur when he was up against Benji. And still, Dignitas don't want to take their chances.
Just not going to mess with the King. LG now on the clock. Xaliea is here. They first picked out of the past. Freya is available as well. Bacchus has kind of sunk down in the first pick situation, but still a thought process. But it will be the Xaliea here for Luminosity Gaming. And again, if you're at this level of competition, your communication is arguably the most important thing in the team fight. Shut it down.
Shabal just brings so much, and at the same time, it cost him so little. And being able to influence a team fight, whether you're an active participant in the engagement or you're just chilling, clearing out minions in the duo lane, it doesn't really matter. The fact is, Dignitas are now going to have to try and build a draft around the idea that maybe we're not going to have complete vision every single time we're looking to fight.
And how do you do that exactly? I mean, what characters do you look for?
You need space denial. So gods like Outwash start to come into play a little bit more so. I think the Zhang Kui was something that I wouldn't mind seeing Hurriwind go back to. I don't think that Hurriwind did anything wrong, particularly in Game 1. I just think that Luminosity made sure to focus him out, so perhaps Dignitas to compensate for Hurriwind on the Zhang Kui, what they could do is just give him a heavy pressure in solo and duo lanes. That way the focus won't necessarily be entirely on mid.
We'll check it out. Dignitas here, still on the clock, giving this one a lot of thought as LG discuss what options their opponent seems to have brought to the table. Getting low down here in the time. Very curious as to why Dignitas are thinking this one over so hard.
Probably because it's not just Dignitas taking gods for themselves. There's also some potential, I think, for them to look for strip-away picks from Luminosity. That Outwash, though, going to be the first one to come into play here. Neja, not surprised to see that one follow up either.
Same.
You have, I think this is still a pick that's very much intended for Trixtank over Qvo, but the fact that it is versatile between the two is a good look for Dignitas because it does leave Luminosity guessing as to whether or not they're going to have to worry about damage-based Neja or just utility-based Neja, both of them being incredibly annoying and dangerous to tango with.
LG now, trying to figure out how to respond. Couple of options. We like Geb against Neja, and it's not banned out just yet, but LG unsure if they're going to get a chance to play the Jormungandr if it makes the second round of bans, so they'll pick it nice and early here.
You want a god that can hit Outwash from a range, though. I'd like to see a Vulcan or something. Kuzen's nice, too. Can't really complain about the Kuzenbo. I think Kuzenbo is also incredibly strong for punishing Outwash because you're just sitting on top of him.
Yep, that's a really good point about Kuzenbo. What's really interesting is Kuzenbo, Outwash needs to set up the corpses and then make them explode. Kuzenbo can just stand on the corpse and go do it.
Well, he won't want to do it every single time. In all fairness, I don't think that'd be the best feature for Luminosity either. But it is possible and funny whenever you do kill the Outwash with his own corpse explosion. But
you love Kuzenbo, right?
I love Kuzenbo, Outwash, and Terra all alike. These gods are all in the same spectrum of the world of hate for me as a hunter.
Terra the selection for Dig, and again, I mean, you were asking for it and you've got it here, Taco. You're talking about area denial and taking away space from the opposition, controlling the battlefield. I think Opwash and Terra do that better than most other characters, frankly.
Luminosity is an open book right now, though. They could go just about anywhere with their composition, and the pressure's on for Dignitas in the 3rd and 4th bans because last time around, they got to just prioritize stripping away Molluskk ideal picks like the Circuit and the Ratatoskr. This time around, with the Mage still not being solidified for Luminosity's comp just yet, now Dignitas have to make the decision between banning a Mage or a Jungler. Seems as though the Humbatz is one that they clearly don't want Luminosity to have the leisure of taking, and for good reason. Fear No Evil could pose just as many problems for Terra as it did for Xaliea on the Jorm in Game 2.
Very true. Very true, very true. LG here on their 2nd round of ban. Dignitas targeting the jungler, like you were mentioning in game number 1. Here they're going to return to that plan. And LG once more finds himself banning their own Ratatoskr, because Dignitas plays it very, very well, and they are not convinced Naja will be in the hands of the jungler.
Almost curious to see if Luminosity are going to maybe look to try switching things up in Game 3 now, because
Unexpected.
It took them, when they were playing against United, they waited until the 2nd game to really start the jank on reveal. So now I think Luminosity could potentially look for gods like the Soul even to try and hang out in that solo lane side, maybe give Xaliea some room to roam around on this Jorm. I mean, Jorm does deal some decent damage early in game. Doesn't necessarily have to be confined to the solo lane, but at the same time, I do kind of feel as though Jorm just makes a much better impact from the solo lane alone.
Well, the Fenrir choice here for Dignitas, aggressive, could be played in the solo lane or the jungle. Support, still possible, but certainly took a hit there. LG on the clock here. Kuzenbo, Yorm, and Xbalanque. I liked your phrase, open book. I think anything really goes here.
I don't think I want to see a Hebo again for Luminosity, though.
Yeah.
No offense to Molluskk, but hey, man, sometimes it's a swing and a miss.
I'm down if it's like the instant return, because there's 2 worlds. There's either I can't do this or that was an oops. Let me try again without the oops, right? Here we see the Nuwa. I refuse to say that that's going to Oceans with this team. And the Bastet. I do like the Bastet.
Love the Bastet pick here. That's going to give Molluskk, I think, the space closer that he needs to try and punish out this Outwash. Bastet does have her own fair share of struggles, though, when dealing with Fenrir because of that Unchained reset. But now with Fenrir shifts to Brutalize being the priority over the Unchained, that might work a little bit differently and a little bit more favorable for Molluskk on this Bastet now.
Well, it's cats and dogs here as Dignitas look for their last pick. Fenrir, Terra, Naja, Opwash. We're going to round out their draft in just a moment here. Rom for Ataraxia, the classic hunter for the classic hunter. Great job.
I like seeing the Rom dealing with the Xbalanque as well. I think that early level 1 lane pressure could go to either of these dual lanes, but definitely excited to see what happens inside of those team fights.
We'll certainly see. Will it be the cats or the dogs? Dignitas versus LG. Let's get into game 3.
He was way too proud. He was way too proud of being able to say cats versus dogs, man.
Is it plural? It's like one dog and I guess Bastet has multiple cats.
I don't know either. The one thing I will say, Finch, about this draft, though, is I love the Kuzenbo pick because Ataraxia really likes this Rage, it seems.
Yes.
And on top of that, he's been playing the Jingwei, too. So if he's going to go Jingwei and build Rage, Kuzenbo's going to kill him. So what he does is he has to change that up, go for the Rama, potentially, and maybe mix up his build, too.
I like the Bastet, too. This allows for Molluskk to be more aggressive, like we saw work for them in Game 1. And it gives him a chance to jump back out. He jumps in, puts in really good damage onto this Opwash, and then he can leave as soon as Empty the Crypts comes out too. So I think that this is a pick that can really work for him.
And you're right, it's going to be Opwash and Rama are the focus targets for Molluskk this game. They're the 2 that can't really get away too easily. They're also the ones with lower health pools, more importantly, the squishier targets.
Yeah.
Fenrir, not going to have too much of an issue. Naja, sure, he'll take some poke, but he's probably in the support role anyway, so it's going to be building tanky.
And now Trixtank back on the Naja. Remember, this is what worked so well from them at the beginning of the game last time. Ring bounce. I think Ream Bounce is even more annoying than Thorns from Kuzenbo. I believe that.
You really do?
I do. I think it's the most annoying ability in the game.
That's true, because you can't help your teammate being stupid and standing next to you when someone's got a ring toss up, right? Like, that, I get you. I agree with that.
Oh, but I mean, it doesn't even have to be that. It could be like an errant pet or a camp or anything nearby. It's just, or a turret. It's so good.
That's true. Or you could just press the 2 key and reflect some of the damage back on someone for free. Skill shot game, remember?
It's pretty good. It is certainly good. And Trixtank wants to be here to try and stop them at the speed buff, or at least to pressure. Qvofred is on the Fenrir in the jungle. Remember, he went through some changes to have those cleaves available to him at all times when he's using the third ability. But
left side.
Kiki might be in some trouble, and there's some action on the left, too.
Love that little play from Kiki. He's like, all right, welcome to the lane, Trixtank. Lose half your health, but left-hand side is more important, Finch. There's a Xaliea gang coming.
For Ataraxia, he has the slows, and Ataraxia only has Aegis. Remember, he will not have movement this early in the game, too, but it's just not enough damage. Ataraxia with the Aegis makes it out.
A great call to take Aegis at the start of the game, too, and not the beads option. Look at the comp that LG have put together. There's not really a whole lot of people that you want beads for. Kuzenbo is probably #1 on that, but after that, it's a lot of damage. Dot damage, consistent damage. Aegis will keep him alive longer, and Aegis saved his life there.
And if he's worried about ganks from Molluskk, then Aegis is absolutely the better relic to have. Beads doesn't do much for you against Bastet at all, except for maybe get you out of the slow. You want to be able to get away from all that damage.
Problem with the start of the game, though, is LG got a little bit of a deficit in experience, lost. Dignitas got a bit of a lead because of the way they started. LG sent 3 towards the speed buff for defensive purposes, while the rest of Dignitas started the farm on their own. They got more experience because of that.
We're leaving these hunters alone yet again. It's the Xaliea and the Rom. I almost said Hachiman. Not sure why I wanted to put him in the game, but Trixtank might want to get away from Molluskk, who just used the pounce to get some good damage. Mid-Harpy secured. But now what about Kiki? He might have put himself out of position to make all this happen. He has the slow, but so does Trixtank. Qvofred blinks in as well. The stun is there, and Kiki falls for first blood.
Kappa. Like, his own Kappa killed him. That's what happened. He spawns the Kappa, he throws it at Trixtank, but that creates a ring toss option that you were just talking about, and he falls down.
I wish they could see my face and how unhappy I am. Such a good ability, dude.
Molluskk needs a good ability there to try and defend the purple. Won't find it. Unfortunately, the pounce not at the right timing. So Trix and Qvo combining again. This Fenrir and Naja, double beads burners. And they're going to go around like a goon squad the entire time.
It's very scary. You can only answer one of them, and that's if you're perfect. So it's a very scary proposition.
I feel really scared for Oceans in mid, because it's like, okay, they're going to dive me. Cool. I'll beads the Naja ult. Sweet. Okay, now they're going to dive me again. I'll ult the Fenrir ult. Okay, now I've got nothing. Oh no, the rest of the squad's now coming. Rama Arpwash on top of it.
Not a lot of options, and Oceans does seem to be worried, doesn't he? He picked the Sun Wukong, which is about one of the safest guns you can play just in general. He has the ultimate, he has the bird form to get out, the ox form, even safer, really, if you're like in the middle of a bunch of people. Now to the new Hua, who can go up into the sky as well. It really feels like Oceans has felt this pressure.
I don't know if it's Oceans in general, it's the team chemistry and what their design of the team comp is. It seems Kiki and Molluskk are going to be the front runners. Xalia's going to turn up when he's ready to and confident to frontline for his team. But it means Oceans is playing very, very passive to an extent. I mean, the Zeus in Game 1, completely different playstyle to play in the new Hua, the Sun Wukong, a little bit more defensive options. But at the same again, Oceans' late game will be pretty strong. New Hua is potent if she can get to the later stages.
I haven't felt like they've been playing a comp that reminded me of the Game 1 success that they had so far. It's only been twice since then, so they still have one more shot, even if this one doesn't go right for them. But so far, it feels as if they've gone away from what worked so well there. I do like that Molluskk, like I said, is back on an aggressive pick, though. That feels like the right thing. Give him a chance to go into the jungle, strip farm away, and create that same havoc he caused last time.
I mean, Hebo is a great aggressive pick, but at the same time, it's on the defensive. You're going to have a bad time. Kiki blinking in to try and defend the red. He's going to push Trix into the wall. Hurriwind and Qvofred on the sides. But Trix bit off more than he could chew. 1 for 1. Oceans is running. He's only level 4.
And Hurriwind's running to try and catch out Oceans. Kiki is also a viable target, too, as Hurriwind isn't able to land that third ability. Kiki does eventually fall to Qvofred, but there's all the damage you can need. Hurriwind completes a killing spree, and Dignitas off to another good start.
I like the way Hurriwind didn't really panic in that situation. Like, oh no, I missed my abilities. No, he's going to get away. He went, okay, I'll pick up my corpse. I'll chill for a minute. I know Qvo's covering the option on the other side. He's trapped in the middle at level 4. GG, well played. Pick up the kill.
Yeah, Book of Thoth also feels pretty good when you can get 3 kills and an assist under your name to start the game off, right? And you're the one running someone else down. So Hurriwind has got to be feeling good at this point. Level 6 now on the Opwash ahead of the level 4 Oceans.
That's also why he was screaming at Qvofred there. We didn't hear it on the comms, but he was screaming at Qvofred about his stacks when it got to the kill of Oceans because he needed them, man.
He does need them. You're not wrong. So you want to get those on as soon as you can. Again, this item had some changes, so Hurriwind's very likely going to want some more items that provide mana. It gets more power from mana from items now, not just inherently. So he's going to want to make sure that he builds some items to go along with it.
Yeah, more mana items, basically. Which a lot of the items in Smite do have. You go Shoes of Focus, that gives you some free mana. There's also plenty of other options in the book tree. Go all the books if you want to. It's just not seen as...
The nerd build.
Is that what you'd call it?
I like to call it that because there's a bunch of... You're carrying around books, and then, like, you know, you got some papers sticking all out, and you drop them like a nerd.
It'd be good if you drop pages as you're walking around. Right?
That'd be funny.
So you had a book.
This is
Ooh,
not funny at all for LG. They've got to get away from Qvofred. Oceans was quick on the beads. That gets him out of there, and Qvofred got exactly what he wanted.
Really, really close there. Qvofred looking to try and pick off Kiki before he hits level 5 and gets the ultimate. Oh, nice idea behind that. But the fact that he wraps back on himself, realizing he'd missed the opportunity, and gets Oceans' speed, at least it makes the ultimate worthwhile. If not, a little bit more impactful in my eyes.
Yeah, I think it might have been better. It ended up working in his favor, as yet again, the Kappa serves counter to Kiki's purposes when he goes up against the ring bounce, and as the red buff also gets invaded on the order side.
I think they could have held the Kuzumbo pick. I think they drafted the Kuzumbo very early in this comp to say, hey, Nate, don't go this, more than, hey, we're going to pick you up if you do go this. You know what I mean? It felt like a bit of a weird situation there.
Kiki, I was worried he might be in some trouble, but he's okay. He's actually the one charging forward. Hurriwind uses Aegis just from Kiki walking at him. That's the Kiki aura if I've ever seen it. Ataraxia is here as well, but Kiki's made his way out. He had the ultimate still and gets on out of there.
I'd Aegis if I saw a giant turtle running at me, I'm not going to lie. Or walking slowly towards me, meandering, let's put it that way, towards me. I might use an Aegis.
Muttering under his breath the whole time, oh, I'm going to ult you. And Qvofred wants Molluskk. He's found him in the jungle. Trixtank right here too. But Pounce is quite good for repositioning, and he makes his way out.
Now, this pressure is being applied because the beads are down from Oceans, by the way. Oceans has got to sit even further back now. Sure, Ragnarok's on cooldown, but Trixtank could always come in with the sashes to cause some problems, and the burst from Hurriwind will be good. Oceans having to sit further back opens up the middle area of the map for Dignitas to try and exploit.
All right, so Dignitas have gotten serious. They don't have the shooting sleeves, but they've put the shooting sleeves on. Headbands are on. This is them controlling the map and not giving Luminosity a moment to breathe anywhere. Though Hurriwind's in some trouble. He gets caught out and mid-harpies, and he's still alive. They thought fire shards would be enough.
He healed. They thought they were going to get him. He will die after the fact. If you look at the map, the whole of Dignitas went, yeah, we're not around. He's dead. He knew he was dead. That was the Aegis on cooldown, and straight away gets picked in the jungle. Really nice pick from LG there. Really good.
They absolutely needed it because so far everything's being taken. This is what Molluskk was doing for them too, finding those opportunities to go into the jungle and try and strip some farm away from them. Even if it's just those back harpies or whatever he can find, that's good. But now Ocean's in some trouble. Qvofred hunts him down. Ragnarok right into the brutalized. Nothing a Nuwa can do.
And the beads window. Ultimates will always come up a little bit earlier than Purification beads. Qvofred in a bit of trouble here. No escapes for him right now. Got to try and leap away.
Good.
But the CC chain, just too much.
They had to get that. An important response kill. And you mentioned that the beads weren't there. Remember, he just used the ultimate as well to kill Hurriwind. So even that option was on cooldown, and that's something Qvofred would have known. So Nuwa really didn't have anything she could do to get away, but at the very least, the team was there to punish Qvofred on the back end.
Kiki's looking really good in support, though, overall. In all the games I've seen him in so far, was it 4 games yesterday, 3 games yesterday?
It was 4 yesterday, yeah.
4 yesterday, probably 4 today, I'm expecting with how this is looking. Like, I think Kiki's support performances look way better than I expected him to. A lot better than last year, to be fair.
That's right. I think what's really missing from LG is just reps as a team. Getting those picks and bans in order. It was a little bit sloppy from them in Game 2, I think, of the picks and bans. The late game decision-making could be better. But I think in terms of the individual performances, this is way better than I was expecting.
It's got a little bit of a vibe of last year's Splice, right? Like, just a little bit of
I get what you're saying.
Air of, like, randomness, but calculated randomness that seems to work. LG making me feel that way. I can't believe I'm saying that about LG.
I get what you're saying, though, because Splice had a rough start, and they had, you know, a supporter didn't play the way everyone else was playing.
It's supposed to be their meta. Like,
right.
they came in with their own ideas of how to play the game. and it came up good by Worlds, and LG are doing the same sort of thing here.
It's early to call it, certainly, but I see what you're saying. But there's time. These matches all matter towards the end of the year. You know, you don't get to take anything off like with the spring split, so you have less throwaway matches, I suppose. But they still have, it's a long season, and they have time to get better.
And the one thing you said there is there's no throwaway matches. Well, LG are showing that they may have been classes near the bottom, but they're going to put up a fight as much as possible.
Trixtank has something to say to Kiki, but it won't be heard very loudly. Not much damage up against the Kuzenbo, though. You can say the same for Fire Shards. That won't finish off Hurriwind yet. Kiki doing his best to run from the dog. Sumo Slam gets him out. Brutalize lets him close the distance, but Kiki makes it out, and all of a sudden, the World Serpent is here.
He's just trying to close the distance across the map, make sure he supports his team more than anything else with that. The amount of distance you can cover safely really does help out his team. This is all about the red buff, and still, Dignitas want to fight at it.
Xaliea was able to find a two-man knockup, but it's Joshy who's pincered. He Rising Jaguar to the back, and Molluskk jumps over the wall that gets him away from Qvofred, but Variety had too much damage. Kiki eventually falls. That was nice from Oceans. It brings Qvo low and at least forces Dig back. But with all 5 of them there, they can head right back to whatever they want. They might even want this gold.
LG really wanted to contest the red buff there, and I really think they could have just backed away, give up the red buff, let Kiki go back to base, and potentially defend this Gold Fury. But the attempted defense of the red buff causes them to then lose even more because it isn't successful.
And that's what I mean when I'm saying reps at the gym. I think that they had a real narrow focus in that fight. And I think the more comfortable they are, the more times they've been through this situation as a team, the easier it is to zoom out a little bit and go, well, maybe this could cost us the Gold Fury on the back end if we don't play this right. And that's exactly what happened. They end up losing the objective, and for what it's worth, they lose a life.
Look at what Kiki's been doing, though. He's getting ults against him. Ragnarok focused on a Kuzenbo at level 8, and the Windfire Wheels from Trixtank. If he's going to keep eating all the CC, Kiki's doing what he needs to. It may not be peel, but what it is instead is absorb all these ultimates by looking like you're out of position and you're going to die quick. Nicely played from Kiki. It's causing problems for Dig.
It's worked well so far. They got to hold on, though, and make sure they don't let any more of these Gold Furies get stolen away from them, and they can maintain some relevance. I like that Xaliea is rotating early. It really has seemed like the fights that he's a part of are the ones that go well for them. Though Qvofred over here, he might be in a bit of trouble. Of course, he can't pick up the snake, but he can daze him. That's that effect on him gets dazed.
I think he should have been able to be picked up. I would have loved to see more of his body get pulled out as, you know, Ragnarok connects with it. I think it would have been better. I don't like the fact that he can't get picked up. It's depressing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
You don't think so?
I mean, I don't think it could have happened. He's gigantic.
I know.
He's the World Serpent.
I know.
You can't just pick him up.
I know. If you think about it, though, he could just slap his tail on this whole map and it'd disappear in the grand scheme of things of how big Jormungandr is. But Oceans, that was a really nice pick from LG.
Yeah, speaking of disappear, Trixtank is gone from this map. Just a little bit too far forward. They finally were able to punish some of this aggression from the Naja, and that's necessary for this team if they want to do better than they did in Game 2. Trix's able to do whatever he wanted last time.
Darkest and Nice causing problems for Ataraxia as he takes a lot of damage, a lot
coming.
of combination coming. The shots on Joshy, though, way more than bargained for. I see baby in the house. Lifesteal coming through.
Pick it up.
I talked poop about it earlier for right reasons, but Lifesteal will help you out. Maybe not this time, though. You better keep running there, Rami, because the kitty cat's on the way.
That was really nice. Ataraxia hit all 3 shots. He rushed them so quickly that I don't think LG were expecting him to be aiming them to be trying to get max damage, and he lands them all, and then all of a sudden, Joshy is in a whole heap of trouble. There's nothing Kiki can do. He lands down, stands tall with the Aussie, gets the kill, and sends Kiki running too. That's real impressive from Ataraxia.
And he's still going back to the crit, which is really interesting to me, especially when there's a Kuzenbo in the enemy team. Really surprised by seeing the crit there.
I am too. He went to the Aussie right away, we know he will now do every single time. But he's trying to go into this rage yet again. He's apparently not worried about the reflect.
Definitely not. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's only one character with Kiki being there, but we'll see how this goes out. Xaliea, though, trying to defend his own blue, has done so for the time being, I'd say.
And sends Variety running. No big deal over here on the right-hand side, though. Qvo's nearby. I don't think he has a bunch of potential to come get a kill or anything like that. Just getting this far, making sure Variety's buff is defended. But that was a big play from Ataraxia because that was just off a swing where LG had found a pick on a Trixtank and maybe they can get some momentum back. A play like that where gas is your whole team, I think is worth a little bit more than just the one kill.
It's a very confident play for Dignitas as a whole, though, to realize that they're having wins in the mid lane and in the solo lane position. Ataraxia is a member of this team that's been overlooked, and people always say that. Like, he's the quiet member of the team that people don't go, oh, yeah, Ataraxia and Trixtank together. Cool, that's going to be great. But Nate is a consistent player.
Yes.
His builds may be jank sometimes and be confusing to the naked eye, but he can make them work.
And he's made it work for him here. He has that rage completed. Level 15, about a level and a half ahead of Joshy, courtesy of the 1v2 solo kill that happened for him on the left-hand side. So right now, he's feeling good.
I will give Ataraxia a bit more of a benefit of doubt, unless you say it was a 1v1 more than a 2v1, because Kiki just kind of watched. There wasn't much. He was waiting for him to land, but his teammate was already dead when he landed.
Right. It's the reason why he went up into the air so early in the first place. But I get what you're saying. He didn't do a whole lot of value. I think the 2v1's more impressive for Nate. I like saying that.
That's what I'm trying to take some of the
you're
edge off that.
taking some of the heat off.
Jeez, he doesn't get that much of it. Like, okay, you got a kill, right?
We
like,
so rarely get to gas Nate, I feel like, though.
He's been around a long time now.
He has been, yes.
I've had a long
days,
time.
right? Yeah.
I guess you've not had a long time gassing him. I'm sick of gassing.
At this point, as Trixtank takes Molluskk up into the air, brings him right back down, but Qvo delayed by the knockup from Kiki means he has some time, but right into the ultimate, Qvofred hunts him down and puts the cats to bed. That means a kill for Qvo.
Two assassins on Trix and Qvo and two beads burners time and time again. Meanwhile, the snake's jumping around in the background trying to catch Qvo, and Qvo's just like, don't worry about it. I'll be fine. I'll resustain off this red buff in the jungle.
He is getting healed up. Xaliea is having to move away as Hurriwind is pushing out a lot of pressure. They didn't know where he was. Now they recognize, but it's just variety here, so Xaliea should be A-okay. But another good fight for Dignitas, Hindu.
Yeah, once again, they're just keeping the pressure going and finding the windows of opportunity, getting a pick, and then looking to capitalize on more.
Oh, Xaliea.
At first, they pick off the pick on Molluskk and then go to the Oni Fury, but that just brings Xaliea into the fray, and he falls too.
Now Gold Fury being looked at, or as you said more correctly, the Oni Fury, and it's really just Kiki who's nearby. He can't do much, and that's yet another Fury down in favor of Dig. They already grabbed the gold one. They'll take the Oni one as well, and now they'll have some waves to push with if they'd like to off the back of this. Though this early, you often kind of just let them do their thing.
You saw LG going for a cheeky start at the Pyro there because Joshy was with him, but I think that's where Dig should pay their attention to now is this Pyromancer straight away. They've got, like you said, lane pressure because of the minions from the Oni Fury. Go for the Pyro, get a bit more of a lead.
High to the Urchin early on here for Hurriwind. All right, then. I mean, there's been a lot of scrapping, right? So maybe he wants to try and get this one stacked up as soon as possible, some extra defense so he doesn't get dived. But to be fair, it's not as if he's been under a ton of pressure this game.
I think the one thing he's worried about is the burst damage, and the burst is really Molluskk all-ins in with the pounce and the bleeds and the kiddies. Oceans follows that up with the fire shards, and then you're going to have a bad time. So having a bit of defense online does help him out. Getting it early is important because the Heart of the Urchin is a great item, but you really want the stacks in it to make it really beneficial.
It does delay his pen, though, which I worry about for the Opwash, particularly going into like this Genjis from Xaliea. Though you saw last time, if it's 4v1, it doesn't seem to matter much. They've got plenty of damage. As, hold on, what's all this then? Fire Giant being looked at.
I'm sorry, my voice is quiet then, and I seem to be speaking. I was very confused. Xaliea is very confused now. He's surrounded by former teammates. Qvofred and Variety. That's actually all been around him now, but the World Serpent will buy some time, force a reset. But now that ult's on cooldown, it's a 4v5.
A bit of a bait coming out from Dig, and now it's time for them to come in and collect. The ultimate came out from Joshy, but it buys barely enough time. Molluskk, I like the idea, my man, but that was into the wrong part of town.
LG just looking a little bit lost at what the combination of abilities is going to be, and that was a great ult from Trixtank, by the way. It just caught in my throat because that was amazing.
Immediately, the ultimate comes out from Hurriwind. Variety grabs that kill. It's Oceans who goes down. And this time, Dignitas are a little more serious about the FG. They go to pull it.
I mean, this was a tier 1 tower so far. It will be a tier 2 tower as well for LG in trade of a Fire Giant and 2 kills so far. I'm not sure this was worthwhile for LG. They were trying to get some gold back for themselves, but they may have just given the FG to Dignitas.
Dignitas grab it. Kiki couldn't make his way in there. No ultimate and really no abilities available. Good job zoning him away. And Dignitas, 18 minutes in, grab the base Fire Giant, not the enhanced version, but I think you feel pretty good about it. Though to be fair, the difference still is not huge between these teams. If LG can keep from losing too many towers, they're definitely still in this one.
And you're right, Finch, but the fire giant around all 5 members of
That's a
Dig
big
now
deal.
means that the tier 1 should all fall down, the tier 2s as well. That's enough global gold to at least extend the lead even more so. And by the time they've taken all those, even if they don't go to a Phoenix, the next Fury is going to be available.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe you can't afford in this spot to give up all those towers. Even if the fight's not good, it's a worse fight, I feel like, if you give up another 5,000 gold to them for free off the end of this fire giant. So they might have to make a stand somewhere.
The one thing is the Dignitas is just really like hunting beads. My ultimate's up. Who are we going to go for?
Right.
Time and time again. Many of Luminosity's ultimates have been defensively used time over and over again.
Finally, the pin does come through for Hurriwind. It'll be the Spear of the Magus, and they've got a couple members of LG that are here to try and defend. In fact, Xaliea going in that stealth to try and start the fight. Molluskk jumps in as well, but Ataraxia with all this healing stands inside of it, goes up into the air. Aegis is good from Joshy to immune the damage, but Ataraxia can't make it out. Ocean's working together with Xaliea. They find the kill.
Ocean's in trouble too, hidden inside his cloud, has to Aegis away. Backside
Watery
though, the fight
grave.
breaks out as Oceans does manage to get the shining metal off and get himself a double kill thanks to the ultimate too. Dignitas just a little bit too aggressive in the mid lane, and LG grouped up for the first time this game.
Man, that's the kind of scrappy fight that LG likes to have, though, where things are all over the place, where they blink in, Xaliea being sneaky sneak with the snake, and having the follow-up there from Molluskk. They get Ataraxia low, and they have just enough damage to kill him on the back end.
I was really worried about Molluskk jumping in because Ataraxia went, you are lower level than me as a jungler. I am going to shoot arrows in your face. And that's what he did.
Yes, exactly
But
it.
the bleeds and the fact that Nuwa came through was really important. Molluskk surviving on top of that. So Molluskk is there to force aggro onto him, trying to get the back line to be focusing him and bursting their abilities, and then try and get back out. If he does that and survives, it's a good play from him.
And then Trixtank, when he initiates it, or not Trixtank, but Qvofred rather on the Fenrir, I think he doesn't know where Ocean's in because he's in that fog. So instead, I think he went for Joshy, and because of that, they're not able to get the kill nearly as quickly. Kiki goes into the watery grave, and it's so disruptive that no one can get that last bit of damage they need to finish off the kill. That's the kind of scrappy fight LG want, and it's what I was asking for. They didn't let Dig get a bunch of tier 2s for free, so the game is still close.
Completely agree with that one too. Now, Joshy and his build has got the Assi online after the Executioner. This is a lot of sustain for this Xaliea.
Yes.
And they've got to be very careful of this Dignitas of maybe over-committing to Joshy and have him just keep whacking away on you and slowly poking you down and heal himself back up. That amount of sustain can cause problems, especially with a little bit of a lack of anti-heal on the side of Dignitas. Just that one Brawler's on the side of Qvofred.
Primal Fury in the sights for Dignitas, but they release it. Nice ulti from Oceans. That was just to see if they can get some information on where all of Dig were. They know they're all there, and they force them off the objective. Now the whole team of LG can group up.
Wow, these hockey pucks are amazing. If Coop was watching, now the bolts could do with some of that action, I'll tell you that. Well,
We love the bolts here. Please don't hurt me, Coop.
we do?
Well, I do. I'm on Coop's side as Kiki tries to control Trixtank, brings him back towards Ocean's damage, and the root's there too, but Trixtank responds with an ultimate of his own. He takes him up into the sky and is able to get the heal to get out. Now it's Xaliea stuck inside the crypts, Molluskk low as well, and Ataraxia blows him up.
But Ataraxia is really strong at this moment, and Kiki's used
Roll
all
it
his
in.
abilities. The roll-in will be good for Qvo to pick up the kill, and Qvo's still going at Joshy. He's trying to frontline to get Ataraxia to pick up the kill.
Can't take this though.
But he went the wrong way for a second. Ataraxia could find another one, and he will.
That's a double kill for Ataraxia and a deicide for all of Dignitas. Yes, the fight under the tier 2 win LG's favor, but not here in the jungle. Not the scrappy one around the objective. Dignitas now claim the Primal Fury, and I love the way that Ataraxia has been playing.
It's worked out well for him because he got forced onto this pick too. You think about it.
It feels like
they kind
it,
of picked the Kuzenbo and went, "You're gonna pick Jing into this, really?" But he still went. You know what? I don't mind about that. Don't worry. It's okay because I'll still go crit anyway and murder you and your whole team.
And they make Trixtank the target early on in that one, right? Kiki kept him controlled with the watery grave. They had the CC chain there with the Oceans. It just wasn't anywhere near enough damage to try and bring him down. And then when you factor in Hurriwind with his ultimate as well, zoning everyone out, they couldn't continue the collapse.
The only thing about that fight that was crazy to me is how brave Trixtank was, right? You get an ultimate on a Kuzenbo that has got his spikes up. You're on low health and you're like, do I hit my buttons correctly and
Yeah, I
do
wonder if
crit
there's a chance
damage?
you intentionally missed there, right?
I was like, don't press anything, right? Do less damage to yourself. You're just using this to try and buy yourself a second for your team to clean up underneath, and that's exactly what Dignitas did there.
Remember, he also has that shield of regrowth, so he gets a little bit extra speed when he hits that heal. Maybe that helped him reposition and get his way out of there too. So Trixtank playing very well. Though Fire Giant has fallen off, And really, all things told, Dig didn't get as much as maybe they could have. There's still 2 Tier 2 towers up for LG, and they still have a chance to fight back, though 9k gold's quite a bit.
And that's the problem for LG now, is like, do they defend the Fire Giant here, which I think is the best option for them. They can't give another one freely over to Dignitas without trying to contest and stop this. I think a Fire Giant fight might be in their best interest.
They're grouped up around it, and remember, they've got a bunch of really good team fighting ultimates as well. Joshy has the Darkest of Nights. Oceans can reveal everyone as well with his own ultimate. But so far, Dignitas haven't even gotten it. They're just getting some poke here for free.
No, because if they can find a pick before it, it makes it easier for them to get the pick, get the Fire Giant, and then even a Phoenix if they're lucky. And the pick might be towards Kiki, who's just used his ultimate there, but Trixtank happy with that result, knowing that won't be available for this Fire Giant fight.
Fire Giant now has been pulled by Dig, and everyone's been zoned out. I think LG have made the call to give this one up. There's no one nearby for the FG, and Dignitas get it for free.
Yeah, left-hand side, you can see Molluskk is going to split push some minions away from this tier 2. Maybe look to pressure. But what are you going to pressure? There's no towers in that lane anymore.
Right.
Maybe look for a Phoenix, but Dig will be back in time if they need to be.
Yeah, there's nothing he could push up to and try and grab at this point. So really what LG have decided is that they're just going to fall back and try and play some defense on these Phoenixes. It's not too bad a call, but they've got to hurry up and get back. Dignitas have pushed down the tier 2 and right already.
They really have, and this Phoenix is under threat straight away. Backing coming up from Molluskk
There it
already.
is.
He was doing the purple buff.
It's not in time.
But he's only Kiki here so far, and already Trix has slipped round the back trying to slow down the damage dealers.
It's Xaliea, though, who's trying to get in right away by going down and hiding like a snake. They've got the big ultimate from Hurriwind as well. That deters any more aggression and is bringing Kiki down too low. Trixtank is the one that gets the kill, though Molluskk is able to find one, though his life gets traded out. Xaliea keeps Ataraxia busy in the back line, so he goes up and drops the snipes, hits Oceans twice, but not the last time. But Trixtank's here to try and clean up.
Oceans did a good job of just hiding away from Trix. He can find it.
2 for 2.
Oceans will survive, but there's still 3 members of Dig at this Phoenix on the right side.
And Ataraxia is still so healthy. Hurriwind deletes Joshy with a little bit of help coming out from Variety. Xaliea in some trouble as well. Hard to miss when you're aiming at a Yorm. He falls to Hurriwind for a double, and the right side Phoenix goes down as well. Dignitas, it wasn't clean and pretty, but they make it work.
Variety has some of the best walls on Terra.
Like, isn't he good?
He always seems to have the wall in the right sort of position to cause a problem.
Okay.
No, they will not.
Thank you for not doing
I mean,
that.
I was going to say, even if they go for this, no, they will not end here. This is a terrible idea. But they thought about it for a second.
It was scaring me, wasn't it? I was like, whoa, I don't know about all this. But they pulled back. But Dignitas forced it down, and I wonder how much of that fight is just that LG didn't expect them to push that fast. They weren't set for traditional defense.
It was the speed more than anything else. They just zoomed on down that right-hand side and set it up before LG had a chance to group up. The one thing about the builds from Dig, though, we mentioned about this Hide of the Urchin that we can see Hurriwind's got in the mid lane. Also
Finished.
got one on Qvofred as well. The little bit of defense, if you think about Molluskk on this Bastet, she goes in, she pokes with bleeds, and that's the end of business for her. So if you can weather that initial storm, then that's most of the damage done. It's mainly sustained poke damage that LG really have here, outside of Oceans to an extent with that ultimate towards the end. As long as you can survive and allow Variety to heal your team back up a little bit, you'll be okay. Seems to be the game plan overall.
And it's worked for him. Hurriwind rectified the penetration issue, speared the Magasan Ob Shard there into a Shaman's Ring to round the build out, so hopefully he'll be able to get that one stacked up soon. He's doing plenty of damage on the Op Wash, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Right now, Dignitas have looked like they've regrouped quite well after that Game 1 loss. The picks and bans have been good, they've kept LG on the back foot, and it's been pressure, pressure, pressure from minute 1.
To be clear as well, Game 1, and we always said picks and bans have been good, but Game 1 picks and bans for Dignitas was okay.
Yes.
They just had the issue of dealing with how well LG played that game. It wasn't the picks and bans, but they adjusted based off how well they did perform.
Tier 2 tower on left now down, and Dignitas can consider the Phoenix in left. And yet again, LG are elsewhere. They'll finally make it over here in time, but already Ataraxia putting in damage. But Molluskk removed immediately before the fight even starts. He's been killed, but Kiki finds Ataraxia as well. It's 1 for 1 so far.
It looked like Ataraxia had an aimbot then. The jumping from Molluskk straight away. Ataraxia auto-locked onto the head and removed the head from Mollusk's face.
No chance for him in that one at all, but they at least make sure they get rid of Ataraxia, and that's so much of the damage onto these structures that I think LG can hold on for now. Life support for the Order side, but still alive.
Yeah, it's already starting to close in that Game 4. We could be heading too soon with Dignitas taking this one down. I mean, there's very limited windows for LG to get back into this from my point of view, unless Dignitas make a very big mistake at one of these Phoenix Sieges, which they've not really done so far. The fact that they backed away after losing Ataraxia shows me that they're not going to throw this game completely and give enough of a window for LG to pick apart the entire team and run it down mid.
That's right. If Dignitas continue to play cleanly and smartly, then there isn't much window back in for LG. LG need a mistake from Dignitas, or for Dignitas to just wait so long that the lead becomes irrelevant. We're still a good ways from that. There's still a lot of items to be bought for LG, and the speed elixir has kind of extended the threshold for how important gold leads are. But right now, Dig are the ones in control.
LG's composition as well, when it comes to Phoenix defense, it's not the greatest. On paper, I mean, you've really got Oceans is one. Let's say the fog is the only thing that could really come up to clear the wave effectively and not put you in an awkward position. Everybody else, I mean, Xalia's, hazy pools of poison, sure, it'll do tick damage. But the minion waves are going to keep consistently coming in there. The wave clear isn't simple, so you've got to put Joshy or Oceans in the firing line every time.
How LG plays these defense is going to be critical, as there's no world where they head up there for the FG. Not this time. They take a fight in the jungle, they'll lose that, the game's over immediately. You
say World, but there is a World Serpent that could definitely make it there and also go uncontested.
That's true. I hope he won't do it, but he could.
He could make it from there, I think. From where
I don't think he can make it from there.
I think he could. 3 jumps could get you there.
It is a lot of distance he covers, but that's quite a bit. He's at the Phoenix line.
That is an enhanced fire giant.
Yes, it is. We're past the 25-minute mark, so it's all enhanced.
Which means it's going to be doing a little bit more damage to these Phoenixes and towers.
And they don't need minion waves as much, right?
Well, they also don't need Ataraxia as much, which is also a point. So if he does end up falling this engagement, it doesn't mean that Dignitas have to give up the goose straight away.
Mid lane is going to be the call. They've sent Qvofred to the right, and it's Xaliea this time that's sticking with Qvofred. Remember last time on the Robin, he was able to threaten the Phoenix very well, even by himself, as he jumps in right past him, and it's the repeat performance. He's been knocked up, though, and the stun is there, and they actually force him out with the Ragnarok. Can they clear the minions in time? No. The right side Phoenix goes down, so Qvo does his job.
It was a pretty good defense, though, from LG to force out the Ragnarok and the Purification Beads out of Qvofred. So it slows things down, because mid lane didn't take a lot of damage, but in the sky, Ataraxia is sniping away on Joshy, who slips the net for now, but on landing, Ataraxia is still in the pressure.
He's in some trouble, but Kiki's already fallen. Kiki goes right in and gobbles him up with the ultimate, and now he has to retreat. He'll go clear up the waves on the right-hand side. 4 up against 4 still, but Xaliea hardly counts. Molluskk goes in aggressively for Hurriwind, but he finds very little. Hurriwind still looks healthy to me.
Yeah, Hurriwind immediately Aegis to make sure he didn't take any of the damage from those kiddies there, and Variety and Toe will slow them down. And burst the kiddies down in the late game. That's where they start to fall off. They don't survive as long as you want them to. Dignitas, though, trying to change things up and go for the left-hand Phoenix instead. Is that half health?
They've got a good chance, and Joshy's in some trouble. He's been locked down by the Terra and crippled by the Qvofred. He kills him and sends him back to base. Now Xalia's gotten Hurriwind, but Qvofred finds himself a double. Oceans goes down as well, though they still haven't actually focused the Phoenix on the left-hand side, but maybe they don't need to if Molluskk gets picked up and gobbled and chewed up. Variety finds the double. That's everyone for LG down for the Dia side, and Dig, they can go ahead and take.
And these, well, they can't take anything right now because they all look to each other.
They go ahead and take the Phoenix.
Can we end it? We've got no minions.
They took it.
They
do
get the Phoenix on the left-hand side. I thought you were talking about ending, and I'm like, I don't know about that. They got no minions. They looked about ending again. Just not got the health bars to do so. Instead, they'll move towards mid. Kiki back and respawn for now. Another 30 seconds on pretty much everybody else. Joshy's the next one up. And I don't think Dig can end just yet.
No, they will continue to play it safe, though. Trixtank wants to move in and grab this mid-Phoenix at the very least. Kiki has the ultimate that's good disruption, but not really kill potential. Sumo Slam moves him through the minions, but this mid-Phoenix should certainly come down. And now there's minions pouring in from the right lane, and soon from the mid as well, but Kiki's going to force them out. Almost
an impossible task then for LG to get back into this game. 3 Phoenixes down. It's absolutely uphill battle at this point in time because you got minions coming from everywhere, and then you've still got 5 members of Dig to deal with. These are the hardest points of the game, and sometimes it's worth start thinking about next game.
And what some adjustments they can try and make are in going into that next game. And I think that they've got to do something to stop this early pressure. Maybe not let Trixtank have this Naja comes to mind. In both games, he's looked good on that one throughout the early game. What kind of adjustment do you want to see from LG?
Realistically, is maybe try and focus out Trix and Qvo because they're the ones that are trying to dictate the early game consistently. Kiki's matching pace with him for the most part, but I feel like Molluskk last game on the Hebo couldn't really get into it because of the pressure exerted from Qvo and Trix. And this game again, Molluskk had windows of opportunity. His damage numbers relatively low for a Bastet too. He just couldn't find the window. It wasn't as successful as the Circuit game.
Well, boots sold for everyone on Dignitas, it looks like. Silver Branch picked up for Ataraxia to round the build out. Divine Ruin for Hurriwind to round his out as well. So they are going to be even scarier as now they pour their way in. The minions aren't all the way pushed up and left just yet. as Kiki does force the beads out from Ataraxia. Molluskk follows up with some damage of his own. Fire Shards is enough, and Kiki at least gets Ataraxia removed from the equation. But what about Trixtank? He's been separated, but he goes right up into the air.
Hurriwind needs more help in the backline as we follow along Trixtank. Why is Hurriwind been left alone with Xaliea? And Xaliea is causing some big old problems for Hurriwind. He needs some peel. But meanwhile, it's the same situation for LG's backline, and still Dignitas pressuring in.
Yeah, the only difference is that only one team has fire minions threatening a Titan. Trixtank pushed up against the wall by the Sumo Slam. Xaliea trying to slow him down, but I think LG have done enough. They hold on to their base yet again.
And what's the big thing that Dignitas have there? That big damage dealers, Arpwash and Rama, both taken off the map. If LG can just keep doing that, time and time again, they're going to have a right-hand Phoenix respawn relatively soon, Finch.
They got to get them all back up before they can even start worrying about getting some of that regen for the Titan. It is doable, but this is such a hard position to win from. But I always say it, when you get to this point, the game has somewhat been simplified, right? It's just defending.
You're right.
It's just getting to the backline and killing Hurriwind and Ataraxia, and you're not worried about so much else. So maybe there's a chance.
But that was a disappointment from Dignitas. That's the first time I feel like in this game, not the set, but this game, where they were a little bit overconfident, a little bit overzealous there. They didn't protect the backline very well at all. Backline destroyed, and that just stops them ending. That keeps happening because they're overconfident. LG can get back in.
They can. The gold lead's still relevant. Like I said, some of those last items were sold off, or the boots rather, for the elixirs on Dig, on just about everyone. It still hasn't happened for LG yet, so there's still some relevancy to this lead as Trixtank hunts down Molluskk on the right side, but this late in the game, the Naja doesn't do quite enough, and Molluskk just leaves.
Hey, I mean, Bastet doesn't do anything in the late game either. I'd rather be a Naja in the late game than a Bastet.
She still has plenty of damage, are you kidding?
Well, look what she just did to a Naja.
It wasn't much, but this is a tanky Naja. It's fire.
It's a full pen Bastet as well.
That's true. It's full pen. Should be able to do a little bit more than that. Fire Giant, though, goes down in favor of Dig. The enhanced version, as we already covered back at the 29-minute mark. This is that next spawn of it.
Give me something aggressive for Oceans. I think that's what I'm looking for next game.
You think so?
Give me something where he can pack a punch. Sure, New War packs a punch. Give him something where he can play aggressive with. We've seen him when he played in the Hunter role before in previous years. And he likes to fight. He likes a good scrap. Give him someone he can scrap on. A little bit more so. Step up to the front line and bang away. Not have to play so far back all the time.
Well, they very nearly have all three Phoenixes back up, but it's going to be so difficult to defend them all simultaneously, especially with how easy it would be to burn them down at this point. Trixtank's already pushed in.
And this is why Dignitas is splitting the difference. 3 on the right-hand side, 2 in the mid lane. Let the minions do the work on the left-hand side if they need to. Middle one's already down, Finch, and now the base is broken again.
And they're just running right over to the left one. They're paying no respect to the rest of Luminosity. They just want these structures, and he's doing a Hunter to swing that's mid and left down just as soon as they spawned.
And now that those are both down, everybody groups up towards the right-hand side. So Trix getting aggressive there with that blink, trying to get the beads out of Molluskk, but no panic from him just now.
He stays calm, knows the rest of the team is on the right-hand side. They commit the cats onto Trixtank, which is a good case scenario. But Qvofred's like, hey, I think we can just go, do the thing. They bring in some fire minions, but the rest of LG fall back to defend, so they keep the Titan standing as Xaliea goes into the ultimate.
Good patience from Dignitas, not to just commit all the way in for the Titan right now. Try and force all the ultimates out defensively, and that's what they've got. The World Serpent from Xaliea, though, is causing problems again on the back line.
But Kiki's in some trouble as well. Qvofred can't quite complete it, but Xaliea trades his life out to get rid of the Hunter for Team Dignitas. Perhaps a worthwhile trade as he's a lot of their damage, and there's not much they can do to peel him. But what about this right side Phoenix? They've given it up. Dignitas should be able to come in and burn it quickly.
And they will. Xaliea was doing such a good job of frontline and keeping Dignitas busy, but as soon as Xaliea falls down too, sure, Ataraxia is dead. With Xaliea not being there, it makes it a much difficult task for LG to hold this base.
They still have Oceans and his damage to clear out these minions at the very least and try and keep Dig at bay. Kiki is at least able to push into one, but Hurriwind drops down the ultimate. That's going to keep chunking away at the Titan. Hurriwind gets the kill on the Molluskk as well, and that's all she wrote. Dignitas grab game 3 and go up 2-1.
Joshy on the camera didn't look too happy of the performance after that one. And Dignitas a little bit more like business as usual now with how they're looking and talking. Just body language, in general, you can feel the difference between the boys as well as they're now looking at a Game 4 situation, 1 game away from taking the set.
And at this point, it's like you said it earlier, LG are starting to look a little bit lost. Like they haven't been able to find their identity or what it is that they need to do to win the game. They're just barely doing enough to hold on in these games sometimes. So thinking about even switching gears and how do they aggress into winning, that seems even further away. They got to regroup.
I think Mollusk's picks have been pretty solid overall. The Bastard didn't work out as expected there. I do want to see Oceans on something else. That's what I'm after here. I need Oceans on something a little bit more aggressive. The Zeus worked out so well for him. Let's go that way again.
Yeah, and I put some attention towards getting Trixtank off this Naja as well. I don't know exactly how they do it. They might have to get something else up, but that seems like something that maybe they can't allow him to play again.
Naja's always a frustrating case to deal with as well. He's even been nerfed multiple times and still getting picked in support.
He's very, very good, as we see Trixtank proving in multiple cases. Let's get it back over to the desk, though. I want y'all's breakdown on how they make some adjustments.
Well, right now, Luminosity have to make an adjustment because if they lose this next one, they're out, and this one goes all the way to Team Dignitas. Tom and Taco here to break down the set, and if you're just joining us so far, it's a 2-1 in Dignitas' favor.
It was a close one, though, and Dignitas can't afford to get comfortable just yet. Even though they've managed to bring the set back into their favor as far as the momentum is concerned, Lumi are just getting closer and closer, I think. Game 2, not so much, but Game 3, arguably, there were some moments where it definitely looked like Lumi might have had the turnaround potential. It's just fell short every single time, hardly by a little bit, but was still an issue, and I think a large part of that was because of variety on that Terra.
I got to agree there. I think, again, I'm looking at the Molluskk, unable to replicate what he was able to do in some of the earlier games, and it was largely because of variety. This Terra pick just devastating him. Every time Bastet tried to go in, there was a Terra situation just waiting for him.
And that's part of the problem, I think, is that Variety has been playing this Terra for the past 2 games now. And it honestly feels like he is just controlling every aspect of the team fights because of it. And in fact, not even just the past 2 games. Every single game so far today, he has had this Terra selection. And the only game it didn't really pay off too well was the first one. But that was most because of how well Luminosity were controlling Hurriwind over how well they were controlling like Variety. It was just pressuring the attention shift from Trixtank and Variety. And I just don't think that Lumi have been able to copy that same sort of pressure onto the back line that they had in Game 1.
I mean, 7-0-13 on the solo lane Terra. You can see the hybrid build coming out, the E-Staff, the Void Stone, and the Gem of Isolation, all going to allow him to do extra damage, and that damage being 15,000. A nice look there for the solo laner. Certainly pales in comparison to what Xaliea was able to do, but when you talk about impact in the game and what each player brought, Variety absolutely bringing the house.
A lot of player damage, though, collectively from Luminosity. So it's not that they were having trouble finding the damage in those late game team fights. I just think that the sustain plus the peel from the Terra and Trix as well, also, again, on point with a lot of those Ninja ultimates, really in sync, was Hurriwind as well with the follow-up. So it seems as though Game 1 might have just been Hurriwind taking the brunt of the focus, but now that things seem to have been a little bit more complicated, or forcibly complicated by Dignitas, Lumi has just had 0 responses for killing the front line or getting into the back line.
It's been pretty tough, and, you know, as, again, I keep looking towards that Zeus pick. Luminosity have to find a solution to something that fills that Zeus void, because we've seen a couple of options, and I like the new idea. Again, she definitely denies area, but it's much more corridor specific as opposed to the anti-dive.
I think that if Dignitas are going to continue running the Terra, and if Lumi don't want to ban it away, because it is tough to try and ban that, I think that one thing instead that Lumi could look for is maybe have Molluskk on a god like the Nemesis. We touched on that idea earlier back in Game 2, I believe, and we still have yet to see a Nemesis pick come through. Not that it's like a guarantee by any means, but they clearly need a way to kill this front line, and it wouldn't be the first time either that we saw teams looking to prioritize the front line as the targets, because Splice did that and they won a world championship.
Just like that. Got to know, you know, what's going on here and how to really make it all happen. Players with an extended break here after game number 3. We make sure that everybody can hit the bathroom and get a drink, so we'll dive a little bit deeper into what was going on into Dignitas' game. And I'm looking at Ataraxia. You know, we can talk about the build and everything. I'm looking at the numbers and the end game. Ataraxia a little bit more involved this game than we've seen him, and just able to do this. The 1 versus 2, and that little the turn shot, I like that, baby.
Flick of the wrist, gotta be there if you want to try and stay alive to these plays. But the crit rush as well for Ataraxia. I'm actually really glad that you brought this up, because it destroyed the carries from Luminosity. Joshy having to prioritize these attack speed, pen-based type of builds on the Xbalanque means that Ataraxia can afford to go for the crit, and then Joshy can't box him. That's the end of it. You don't get to challenge the ROM when he's able to buy crit, and despite the fact that Kiki got a couple of picks on him as punishment, Kuzumbo, every hunter's best friend.
That right there. So I have no proof as to when that clip was, but I think that's him going, oh, I just 3-shot best at, and then, oh, no, I killed myself on the Kuzumbo.
Yeah, he two-pieced himself on Kuzin. It happens.
But Ataraxia, man, Nate, what a guy. Definitely one of the more approachable pros, I think. Always a pleasure to have him on the cast or on the camera, and he's able to really give it out kind of honestly. And right now, I think if we were to speak to him, I think he'd say, like, look, we're playing very well, and I think we can close this one out next game. But frankly, I think Luminosity has surprised Team Dignitas with how much resistance that they've been able to give to the black and yellow.
That's a sentiment that I can definitely agree on, because even in the player cams, when you watch Dignitas throughout this set, they haven't looked happy. There's been like some moments of relief, but they have not looked like the Dignitas that we normally see after that Game 1 surprise finish. They were not expecting Luminosity, I think, to get even one game this set.
Not at all. And I tweeted it. I put it out there. Luminosity Gaming, if you asked me in the beginning of the season, I would say this team is bad. And I couldn't be happier that I'm wrong, man. Seeing this team turn up, be as creative as they're doing, this is exactly what I sign up to watch every year with the SPL, and I'm getting it. I would like to see a win here.